Yesterday, the Supreme Court rejected a bid to overturn the election in Pennsylvania, but you know whose supporters still can't admit it's over. Michigan State Secretary Jocelyn Benson condemned protesters outside of her home that were posted on Facebook as they were protesting. Then the Arizona GOP retweeted an alt-right conspiracy theorist saying he's willing to die for this. And then Michigan Rep. Cynthia Johnson is receiving death threats, just like these. Check it out.
I hope you like burning crosses in your front yard, because I'm sure by the time this is all said and done, there will be several. I hope you are dead by now.
It was shocking, but it wasn't surprising, because we are living in a time where, although we're in 2020, it reminds me so much of the early 50s and the 60s.
I mean, what the hell is going on? You know, people said, will you die for it? Look, the Supreme Court said it's done. Stick a fork in it. It's done. I mean, it's nuts, right? So will this all be over on Inauguration Day, or is it going to get worse? And I have to say, you know, if we had done this over the loss that Hillary Clinton had, or any kind of anger that we had, if we had taken any of these kind of measures, what do you think people would have thought about us, Anna? What do you think people would have said? Would it have still been okay?
Look, it's the question as to whether it's going to be over on January 20th, 12/01, once Joe Biden is sworn in. The answer is no. Because this is the big steal, the art of the steal, the big drift, the big corruption, the big ruse. Remember that he has raised, Trump and his PACs have raised over $200 million from gullible supporters since the election. They're now like on over 50 losses, legal losses related to the election. This is nothing but a ruse to continue lining his coffers and stroking his bruised ego. And I call on Republicans. I know so many of these Republican congresspeople and senators. They know better. They know this is a lie. They are playing stupid, and they are playing along because they are afraid of this man. It's time to step up and stop it. People are getting threatening messages in Georgia, in Michigan, racist messages. Is it going to take somebody getting hurt? Is it going to take somebody getting killed for Republicans to stand up and tell Donald Trump that it is over and that democracy should be put on top of a party, on top of a president, and certainly over Donald Trump? It is shameful. What a disgraceful period in American history this is.
True that. What do you think, Joy?
I concur completely with Anna. The Republican Party is disgusting and disgraceful at the moment, and they know it. It's not like they don't know what's going on. But, you know, as you say, I mean, when they stop sending money, he might lose interest in these poor gullible suckers out there who are sending him money. He has no desire to help them, and yet he wants their help. Let's not forget that he is the insider-in-chief. Let me just think. The Second Amendment people, can you take care of Hillary? He did not denounce the violence in Charlottesville. After the George Floyd protests, he tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," right? One of the first things he said was, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I would still get away with it. He's all about violence. I don't think he wants any violence to come to his precious body or to his darling children, but it's okay for other children and other people, you say. And one more thing. Remember when he said, I'm going to save the suburbs for you? I guess he was referring to white people in the Republican Party, because that's who really is causing trouble in the suburbs. Just ask, what's her name? The Michigan Secretary of State. Ask the governor of Michigan and other people. Right.
Cynthia.
Okay? That's who he's so worried about in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What do you think about this, Sarah? Where is this going? Is this going to end anytime soon, do you think?
Sadly, I don't think it, and maybe I'm beginning to really understand 2020. Each day you think we've hit the bottom drops out again, and we see more of this. This has been an administration that stoked this language. Although these are problems that are clearly remain here in this country and have been here, there are certain people right now that feel empowered. They feel called upon to stand down or stand by, you know, all these different things, and they're getting a moment. I think the pandemic is also part of the problem. I think the mental health toll this is taking on people being kind of isolated, life not being normal. I think they're consuming so much media and social media, and that anger is festering. So the two things I place my hope on are, although things won't change at 12:01 on January 20th, each minute and day that passes in legal failure of the Trump administration to fight this election loss, he's losing a little relevance. And once January 20th comes and there's a new administration fully in power, physically and literally, and with the vaccine coming, because it is, I think those two things are where I place my hopes that there are better things, but it might get worse before it gets better.
Ahead. Right. Sonny, you hear all this stuff, you hear what people are doing. Are you concerned about people's mental health? Are these the kinds of messages we want people hearing, particularly when they're sort of trapped at home and festering?
Well, I'm concerned about the violence because there are people that suffer from mental illness that don't threaten people in office with burning crosses outside of their homes, right? So I don't know if it's a mental, I don't want to classify this as a mental illness issue. I think this is about this president always inciting violence, using words that incite violence, and this Republican Party refusing to denounce violence. I was terrified, Whoopi, when I saw that tweet from the Arizona GOP, basically inciting violence and asking people to risk their lives, to put up their lives for President Trump and somehow trying to steal the election. I think that this could possibly end in violence, more violence than we've seen. And I am afraid of that. I am disgusted by it. And this is just not the America that I know. And, you know, let's not forget that this has this sort of racial tinge to many of these threats that I've been seeing in social media that has been reported. We're talking about a man saying that that there were going to be crosses burned. I mean, are we there? Is that where we are at? And I think that the racial hatred that this president has incited and has developed is something that should be denounced by the Republican Party. And we hear crickets. We hear crickets over and over and over again. And that is something that is shameful. It's just shameful. Where do we go from here? I see violence in our future. Isn't this supposed to be the law and order administration? Aren't the Republicans supportive of law enforcement? Where did that go?
Whoopi, can I really quickly just clarify one thing? When Sonny said that, I don't want to be misinterpreted as someone that's saying this is a mental health issue. I suffer from mental health issues with anxiety and depression, and I am not raising arms. But what I'm saying is that by isolating people that struggle, there can be people that are snapping in this time that maybe it may not have happened. So I just want to be clear that that was not a broad strokes mental health assignment, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, here's, I think, part of what everybody should really understand. The world, you know, this is a phrase that was used years ago, but the world is watching. The world is listening, the world is watching, and we know what we're hearing. You cannot intimidate people anymore by threatening to burn a cross on their lawn. You can intimidate women who are in a home with their kids. You can do that, but that makes you what? Great big, you know, intimidators? That's not quite, I think, what you want to put out there. But we're going to stand our ground, and we're going to go for democracy. Whether the Republicans stand up or not, people who live in this country, who want the country that they want to be in, they're going to stand with people, whether they necessarily like their politics or not. They're going to stand with people who are doing the right thing. There are Republicans who made sure that the votes were right, that they were done right, that it was clean. And people said this was the cleanest one we've had, the best one we've had. Those folks are Republicans. They're standing up and saying, this is not right. You lost. So there are people willing to stand up. But where are all the people in office in Washington? What are y'all doing? You went on vacation. You took the break. You should be in a state of mind to be able to handle all of this. And what are you scared of? Is he a magician? Can he really mess you up as badly as he seems to be able to mess up the country? I don't know what to say.